Hi, I'm Ernie Conover. Welcome to my shop. Today I thought we'd talk about a neat faceplate project, and that's turning a tray. They're actually a bit more difficult than a bowl because we have to turn the floor of this tray perfectly flat. And that can be more difficult than turning a concave bowl shape that we're used to. Also, you generally do this in dry wood rather than green wood, so it takes a little bit more tool control and the tools need to be sharp. This one I turned 35 years ago and it's come in for refinishing. So they're an item that lasts, they're useful and fun to turn. You need a piece of wood that's at least an inch thick for a good tray. This is a piece of 5/4 wood which measures 1 5/16 inches thick. This will give us a nice sturdy tray. You need at least a 1/2 inch under the floor for it to stay level over its lifetime and not warp across the grain. The one I just showed you was turned from a 2-inch thick piece of maple. In preparation for turning this, I cut a square of wood, and from this square I was able to get about 16¼ inches of diameter out of this tray. And I then hand planed it flat. This will be the base of the tray. And I attached a 4-inch diameter of scrap wood to a faceplate and used a square end scraper. It's really what I call a boat tail scraper, and I give you the directions for this scraper in the article that is yoked to this video. And I then interposed a piece of brown craft paper between the glue block and the tray blank and put plenty of glue on both sides of the paper, smeared it around, put a tailstock against the dead center of this and pushed it against the block overnight. I now have about 20 hours of drying time, so this is well-cured glue. You want to have at least 12 hours. So we'll now proceed to make this into a tray. And our first task is to turn from an area a little bit inside the edge. You actually want the base of a tray to be fairly narrow and that you've got support right up to this edge so that when we put a tea service or a big bottle on this tray, it's not going to tip at all. And a good practice is to just come in here and decide where you're going to put that. Let's say we'll put it right about there. And you see, by having our glue block level, this level from hand planing, when we push this together, we have this running in a plane that's at right angles to the axis of rotation of our lathe. So our first job will be to take a bowl gouge right here, and we're going to turn a very slight taper on this rim so it's a little smaller down here than up here at the top. And I've set my tool rest at an angle so that that will happen naturally. There, we've got a nice little bit of slope on that. Our next job is to come into our pencil line here and make what I call a pull cut. We're going to come in like this with the very tip of the gouge, turn it till it just cuts, and drag it out here. Now we will not be on the bevel, and it's hard to get this cut to go perfect. It takes a little practice, but it works pretty good. And so, again, we're going to come in here like, I'm going to do this left-handed so you can see it better. And I'm going to radius this edge right here. Now we'll be able to break this paper joint later on when we want to take this off the chuck. And with an orbital sander, we can just sand the center field of this up smooth again, and we've got a finished product. It's now time to come around this side and take a look at how we hollow that out. Now carefully adjusted this rest so that I'm right on the center line. That's an imaginary plane running through the center of this lathe. And my tool will be always on that center line, right to this center mark right here. And my first job is going to just make a facing cut. I'm going to make this a level face by just cutting across. Then on subsequent cuts, I'm going to cut in, turn, and come across. You'll see this as we go. And we're going to always try to keep the base about a ½ inch thick when we're done up in this corner right here where it's relieved a little. So starting this up, I'm going to come back and make just a scrape cut right there to blunt that edge, because that'll cut you badly if you get your hand against it. And that's going to be a pretty piece of wood. So our next job is to now come in here and make the first cut like that. And just slowly turn like this. And now we'll cut right across there. And as you can see, you can't cut with the speed that you normally do in wet bowl work where you're turning green wood. We have to take a lighter cut and we have to feed much slower. We might be able to bring the speed up just a trifle and get a little more efficiency out of that cut, but it's going to be slow going. It's coming nicely. It's going to take 4 or 5 more of these cuts. So you might as well have a cup of coffee while I slave away at the lathe here. You notice I didn't hurry that cut. You have to give the tool time to cut. Some kind of a straight edge is awful handy to kind of find out where you are. I'm about where I like to be at this point. I like the center to be a little bit higher, like a pitcher's mound. Actually, not enough that you can perceive very much that it is higher in the middle, but if liquid spills, it will run out to the edge. I also go in with a smaller gouge now and get this wall to match the outside one. And I cut a little trough right in there, which I call a scupper, and that gives that liquid someplace to collect, as long as it's not too much. And now our job is to make this really level, and quite frankly, it's very hard to do that with gouges. And so you're better to go to the same scraper that I used to level the glue block. And that is a scraper that's ground straight across, and this is ground to a radius around about here, so that you can pull this to the left or towards me, and it will cut. But it has a little clip. I've clipped the back edge at about a 15-degree angle for a very short distance, and that makes it not leave lines behind it if you start to get a little bit back or forth. My knuckles against the rest. And you see I am getting shady. There, just the slightest rock. We are there. We're looking really nice here. I don't know if you can hear that, but it rocks like 32nd of an inch across. So we're just higher at the center than we are at the edges, and everything looks nice. Now the last thing we got to do is sand this inside edge right here, and you want to be careful when you're orbital sanding that you don't let the edge of the sandpaper touch up in this area. You scratch a big groove in it that takes a long time to get out. It's best to hand sand this, and that can often take longer than the rest of the sanding with a machine did, but it's got to be done. And at that, we'll be finished, and I'll show you how we get it off the chuck. I'm going to turn this until the grain's running straight up and down. If we pushed on this side of it, it would break in two easier than if we pushed on the long grain side. I'm going to stick this chisel right down in the glue joint like that. There we go. And there. The paper ripped, but paper's pretty strong. I had to work a little to get that off. Little orbital sanding here with our sander, and bingo. We've got a finished tray. I usually finish these on the lathe because it's easy to wipe multiple coats of oil finish, let it dry overnight, come back and do it again. The machine's turning it for you. But this one I'm going to do some wood burning on, and I'm going to inscribe it because it's a wedding present for somebody. So give trays a try. There's something different from bowls, a new skill set, level instead of a dish shape. Very useful gift, and above all, thanks for visiting my shop today.